today's episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast. I am your host, David Gilliland, and have the privilege of having Hurley Fox with us with Fox and Partners out of New Jersey. Welcome, Hurley, to the show.
Thank you for having me, David. Glad to be here.
We love talking with entrepreneurs. And what's so fun is that problems no one else knew were so important are things that entrepreneurs have solved. And then everyone looks back and say, how could I ever do it without that? And, and I think you've got one of those stories. Tell us how you got started and exactly what you do, Fox and Partners.
So I got started from kind of tripping into it. I worked in a construction management business for a few years and then went to go work at an accounting firm. When I was at the accounting firm, I realized that business professionals don't do a very good job of helping business owners, in particular, accountants, financial planners, and bookkeepers. So when I was there, I would start talking with business owners just very conversationally and trying to understand what problems do you need help with and how do the numbers influence that or tell us if something's working or not. So we would do the accounting for them and then we would meet with them. And that program did pretty well. And so then I took that idea and started Fox and Partners. And the kind of beginning of that was we do your monthly financials and I'll talk with you once a month. And then that evolved into we can do all of a company's kind of internal monthly accounting, or we can just sit on top of a company's current accounting team and make sure that we're using the accounting to dictate what happens next and to understand what happened and what will happen if we do X, Y, and Z. And so that's kind of where the company came out of. And it's evolved now until we have a pretty great team of amazing accountants, controllers, and CFOs. And we work with an incredible roster of business owners, entrepreneurs, and small businesses across the country.
Yeah, but you don't just do their accounting. And I think this is just interesting to dive into a little bit more. First of all, your fee model is different, and your services are unique in there too. Just give us a little scenario so people get a feel as to what a partner, because this is Fox and Partners, like deep
Mm-hmm.
partnering with businesses.
Yeah, we really believe in becoming a partner in a business and with a business owner. And so one of the things that we do that's different than other kind of outsourced accounting firms or CFO firms is I realized early on that the business owner's problems and cash flow and financial issues will dramatically influence and impact the business. And so I work with many of our business owners on their personal finances and their personal budgets and working with how to talk to their kids about money and what that plan is. And we want to make sure that both of them are in sync and in harmony. Why are we doing what we're doing from the personal level and then the business level? Because they impact each other. And then when we work so closely with business owners, we see other problems that they have. And if we can help, we will. So I've tutored clients' kids before. We've taken deliveries for clients. It's just we will do what we can in order to help a client. And our revenue and fee structure is such that we are tied into the benefit that we can provide clients. And so if we can help make the business owner in any way $10, then we take a cut of that additional $10. So we put our money where our mouth is, and we don't put anybody into a long-term contract. So everything's month to month. If for any reason a client feels like we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing or somebody can do it better, they can leave at any time.
So you take care of their books, but if they run into, hey, what's holding us back in generating funds is our supply line is mixed up. You go in and you figure out how to fix that with and for them. If you're diving into like, hey, they've got a problem or the way that they're spending their dollars here and there or the way the cash is flowing out, we can change that. And like outside of accounting
Yeah.
even, it's business help, but the accounting is the basics. That's the fundamental. We make sure that's clear. Then I'm going to help you solve your cash flow problems. And
Yeah.
I only gain when you gain.
Yeah. And, there was one story of I knew that a client needed essentially a number two person somebody there every day with them. And we obviously can't do that. But then I also knew just in my network somebody who was looking to be kind of that number two person. And so I was able to connect them, and it's been a really good fit ever since. I use the term, the kind of a general practitioner or the medical analogy a lot to help describe what we do for people. Everybody knows in the medical world, they want a general practitioner, somebody who they go to consistently, who gets them their numbers, but then can send them to other experts if needed. And we're kind of like that in the financial space. We'll get you your baseline numbers. We're talking with you consistently. But if we see that you have, an issue where an expert's needed, we also have those contacts in our database, and we will make the intro and make sure that that kind of follows up and all that other stuff. So we don't just provide the numbers using that medical analogy. We don't just provide the blood results and the various medical tests. We then say, hey, we're going to train with you. We'll find you a trainer. We'll get you a chef. We're going to work with you and your family to make sure this is all on the same page. We're going to, check in with you on this, and this. We're with our partners and our clients every step of the way to make sure we get them what they're looking for.
I love that. That's different. That is definitely different. I just don't see that nowadays in the accounting controller CFO kind of space. They tend to stay in that lane pretty hardcore. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love your investment in the growth of others in their businesses.
It's really fun, and it's fun to be alongside with them during that journey, and it's great to I appreciate working with them, and I've gotten that back from clients, and so that makes it worth doing.
That's cool. Thanks, Hurley. Hey, in this journey, as you've been growing your business, you've passed the seven-figure mark yourself and are continue to grow. Tell us a lesson learned, a nugget that maybe we could glean from some of your experience.
Many lessons learned. A few of them are the product is the most important sales strategy, and so we kept on refining the product and making sure we do the best work for our clients. And then the second is to really separate, and this is something we do with clients, but I did it with myself and my company, and it was incredibly helpful. Separate the business from the person. So if I own 100% of the company, I am 100% of the ownership. The business's job is to generate as much cash flow to me as possible. But having that firewall in between those two entities is easier said than done, because as entrepreneurs, I have three different businesses. Money's moving all over the place. The business needs money. Let me just write a check. I need more money for this. I'm just going to move the money back and forth. And all of a sudden, there's not those separate silos. It's just my entities, me, my person, my investments, etc. And so setting myself up on payroll and telling myself I'm not going to miss that ever allowed me to personally better budget and prepare as Hurley the person. And so even if I needed to dip into the line of credit to run payroll, I was going to do that because it's the business's job to pay me. I wanted to fully separate that. And then if I have extra funds, then okay, I'm going to write a distribution now and really make it clear and separate between the business and the person. And so that allowed me on the personal side to budget every month with my wife and have our personal goals, and it allowed the business to better prepare and budget and say, okay, we're going to consistently pay, Hurley this, and then we can grow now that we know that expense. So separating those two things out was incredibly helpful from both a business standpoint and then the personal standpoint. And then just prioritizing cash flow and saying to myself, okay, if I'm going to be 30% profitable, how would I do that? So, I work with a lot of companies who are either, negative or 0 or 5% profit kind of when we start with them. And we want to think about, if you were to be 50% profitable, what would you do? And that's a crazy number most of the time, but it forces us to think outside the box enough where if we do X, Y, and Z, we can get to 20% profit. And I think a lot of people look at industry standards and they lower themselves to that when that's just an average. You can be much better than that. And so how could you run and own a 20% profitable company? And let's talk about that and how to implement that and make that happen. So thinking like that, separating cash, making sure there's real differences between me, the person, the owner, Fox and partners, and then any other investments and businesses I'm a part of. and then prioritizing cash flow to the owner. And that's the most important thing. And then as the owner, I can decide, do I want to invest in the business or do I want to take that for myself or some other investment? Too many people just leave their money in the bank thinking they're investing in their business, but they're not doing that intentionally. So write yourself as the owner of the distribution check. And if the business has a really great investment, hey, if we hire this person, if we buy this asset, if we move this location, here's your return on that money. You can put the money back in. But just keeping $20,000 in the business bank account does not mean you're investing into the business.
I think that's a takeaway right there. Just remembering, like, investment doesn't mean I have cash in the bank. Investment means I've chosen to
Mm-hmm.
put cash into the business for a specific thing that needs to deliver a return. And
Exactly.
and hopefully not just saying this dollar in and we get this dollar out, but a return that is repeatable, like a
Yes.
new way of doing that will pay off dividends for years to come.
And tracking that investment as if you were giving it to somebody else, right? What
Yeah.
would that annual return be? Is cash going to be given consistently? If management didn't, if you don't see a dollar for a year, what would you say to that investment? So what would you say to yourself? And doing things more intentionally than just passively letting the business or your personal finances do what they do.
Well, and that alone will be one of the takeaways we'll say for the marriages, partnerships out there that are wondering why it's difficult to talk about money. Well, your spouse might be sitting over there saying, "I'm uncertain what cash is coming, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't." They're one of the owners of this business,
Right.
and
Right.
so let's look at that. Let's understand it. Let's create some consistency over there, instead of a business that for some reason takes all your time and all of our money. That
Right.
can be hard on them. So
Yeah.
great, Hurley. Appreciate that nugget. Um, we're all living in it, right? We all
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we all need that kind of help. Tell, tell me a little bit about, let's get real. Yeah, you probably have everything figured out, your numbers and yada yada. Or maybe you're still in the trenches like the rest of us doing some work. So at your current stage of growth in business, what challenge are you facing? Maybe we can have a live discussion about it
Yeah, that'd be great. So we're looking to grow in the blue collar oriented small business space in America. Ideal client would be doing $5 to $50 million a year in revenue, and we have a really great network of blue collar individuals that we work with and businesses that we work with, and they've been our favorite clients to work with, and we've been able to do really great work with them. And so we're looking to expand that. One of the more difficult parts about doing that is a reaching them from a marketing and sales point. How do we go from unknown to known? And then onboarding is always our most challenging part, right? How do we go from we just start knowing each other to then we're consistently doing your accounting or reviewing your accounting every month? That process is a bear sometimes, and if things aren't organized or people can't get us things timely or they don't have somebody who can be our organized boots on the ground, doing that is difficult. And so it's finding those customers and those clients out there, and then it's how do we go from we just start a relationship to now we're at a really good monthly uh, kind of pace.
now. Yeah. So when I hear you talk about this, I'm hearing you shift your thinking from let's just do more of the same to we have to build a different engine to take us where we want to go. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's all of our or most of our clients so far have been brought to us by word of mouth or somebody knows somebody knows somebody. And so that the next level is I have never heard of this person. I don't have a direct kind of connection to them. And they're reaching out to us and say, we know you do really great work with blue collar companies. We need organized financials. How do we kind of get started?
Yeah.
So that is what I'm kind of looking for.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that question. And, you know, just so the listeners don't get too excited thinking we're about to give the answer to that question, I'd like to instead frame it up and say, how can we ensure we get the answer to that question and 50 more that you're going to run into as you continue to grow? If that's okay, we'll kind of go that direction. You, you've got about 10 people you and 9 others. Is that about right, Hurley?
Yep, that's correct.
Um, there are these predictable spots as we're growing our business where our formula for success begins to change. Okay, so it's kind of like, in the accounting world, for a while it's okay to go cash basis, but then you start to have projects that are surpassing a month, 2, 3, 4, 5 months of work. And if you stay on a cash basis, you don't have the intelligence to know, am I
Mm-hmm.
profitable today?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You actually have to shift gears and go accrual, or
Yeah,
you just fall
yeah,
apart. Right?
right.
Right. So you've
Yep,
seen that in the accounting world, in the leading of a team and building your business. There are these inflection points, these points where if you don't shift, you plateau. Not because you didn't have a good enough product or you weren't smart enough or anything like that,
right,
just because the current system of running things doesn't work. And how I lead in that. So you have to shift gears both in how you lead your team and how the team organizes to get the work done. Right now, you're noodling on this. You're trying to figure this problem out. You can see some resources in the business you could tap to use, but there's going to be more problems. In fact, you just chose to share one with us generously, but I'll bet you could see 4 or 5 or 6 critical things that you actually want to fix and work on. And you're like, but I'm limited. I only have so much time and space. So this is the one I'm focusing on right now,
right,
right?
right.
So something that we found to be really important now at this phase in your business, and just about everyone who's at about 10 employees, 8 to 12, uh, they have to learn how to get out of their head the grand vision that you have for the future and what this looks like when you're helping hundreds and thousands of companies across the US. That has to get out of your head and into the minds and hearts of every single team member you've got. And we need to give them time and space to work on the problems with us. So, first, they've got to get just as excited and bought in about the success of what we're doing. And a lot of us might think that's not possible. Look, they just want the numbers in front. They want to crank out in their cube, do their stuff, send it to the customer, go home, check in, check out kind of thing. Check in at home, check out a business, and just do their thing. But it is possible. It is possible to get the passion and the desire and the hopes that you have out and into them and have that as a shared thing. So a first piece is, how do we do that? And then a second is, then how do I organize the time so that collectively we use like 20% of the resources of the business to work on the business we need 6 months and a year from now or 2 years from now, right? Build the business we need in the future. How do we put 20% of our collective time there? I say collective because some of your team members will put an hour a month in, and
Right.
others are putting half their time in, right? It's
Yep, yep.
collective, but organizing things that way and getting clear so that we can together identify, here's the top strategic issues. So let's pretend we just did it. We went through a process. We've got everybody on the team aligned with the vision. That's more than a process. There may be some people that get off the bus in this,
Right.
or others that are there that are doubling down now
Mm-hmm.
because they're like, oh, Hurley, this is about something more than just giving cash to the owner.
Right.
That's important. But this is also helping me fulfill my dreams or
Mm-hmm.
get a little meaning out of life too. I
Yeah.
like this. I want to put more energy. Now, when I'm in the shower, I'm solving problems about the business because it's aligned with what I care about.
Right.
So after that's all there, getting time to set aside and say, okay, here's the strategic issue that if we can all solve, we all move forward in doing this really cool thing that we're about, something no one else is doing, or at least we're getting to do it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There may be
Mm-hmm.
other companies engaging. Yours is pretty unique, but still, now as they plan together on it and they push on it, and you can get a team together that begins to solve the problem, this strategic issue that you're talking about. And one of your team members may really be passionate about it. Maybe they're a member of your leadership team and they could own it where you don't even own it. Or maybe you
Yeah.
own it because your size, you're probably the key owner,
Right.
key leader. You're owning it, but you've got a few key team members who are very passionate about it and are building out a project roadmap of how you're going to fulfill this. You've already put two main pieces. One was, how are we going to be a magnet? Like, we want to become a magnet that's just drawing in all of the blue collar companies that fit
Mm-hmm.
our profile, that hear about us, that see us and say, those are my people.
Yep.
That when they're thinking, I don't really know my books as well as I need to. I've kind
Right.
of been running off of, is there enough cash in here? We're a subcontractor, and really, we get a big job actually means we hurt our business
Mm-hmm.
because we have to somehow fund it because the
Right.
generals pay us last. We're the general's bank, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what stinks about being a subcontractor in the blue collar world,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So here you're like, they're feeling the crunch, like, I've got to get my handle on this. They know now we've built the magnet, so those people find Hurley and Partners,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's one of the priorities that your team will be working on for the year. And the other one is this, and then how do we onboard them in a way that they have a wow experience? Because you're unique. You do a no contract,
Mm-hmm.
month to month. You have to earn it every month. So they
Yep.
have to have a wow experience from month one, not
Right.
abandon you. And
Yeah.
and you're tied to their long-term results.
Yeah.
That's, yeah, there's a lot of pressure on that. So I can see why. So you've got two big initiatives and there's only a team of 10.
I think now that we're talking about this, one could be in that identifying the right client, right?
Mhm.
One of the attributes that we want to look for is we need somebody who's boots on the ground there, kind of full time under the client's company. That is our go to contact,
Yeah.
and they're more organized and email oriented than the typical business owner. And so that way, when we send, hey, we need these 10 things in order to move forward, they're responsible and they can get those things to us.
Yeah. What I love is, like, we just identify, we just talk about these two priorities that you mentioned. And right away you start seeing this list. Oh yeah, we got to do this and this and this. You could kind
Mm-hmm.
of see it. You can project manage that right out. But Hurley, how much time do you really have? Could you possibly project manage and execute on all of the things that you want across both of those priorities in the time frame that you want to do it?
If we got that contact for the client, we quite a bit.
Quite a bit.
Because yeah, they really they would be doing the heavy lifting for us.
Fantastic. And then you
Yeah,
end up, remember, you built a magnet. So
yeah,
instead of 30 companies, 30 business owners that have multiple companies across, now you've got 60. Can you keep up with the flow? It gets to a point where Hurley's going to be a bottleneck for
mm-hmm.
decision making and getting things done. And you have this unique opportunity right now to, as you're solving your strategic issue, to have a couple key team members engaged, not full time. They're just helping here, here, and here. They're helping to map it out. And what you're doing is you're training them to think like Hurley.
Mm-hmm.
You're training them to think like a business owner because they're solving strategic issues with you. They may even own that subtask of figure out a system to identify this person in the business who's more
Right,
boots on the ground but responsive. Let's find a way to consistently find that person, orient them, onboard them, and make them a shining star in their business so that they always want to work with us, right?
right,
Uh, they may own something like that within,
mm-hmm.
but what you're doing is you're not just solving the problem today, you're building two, three, four other leaders in your business. So when you triple in size again and you're now 30 people
Mm-hmm.
and you're doing 5, 7, 8, 9 million in revenue,
Mm-hmm.
when you triple, then again, you already have the leadership talent because you've built them along the way. You've taught them to think like a business owner, like you already think. That's been your key value add for all of these companies, is you think
Right,
like a business owner. You solve
right,
problems. So you've
right,
got to build your team to do that with you. There's your scaling
mm,
solution, is as you're coming up with solving this issue that you brought up, how do I be a magnet and do this onboarding? Do it with your team in a way that they can co-create with you,
yeah,
which means they're ready to lead for you 2, 3 years from now, maybe 6 months from now.
right.
Uh, there's a scaling opportunity. So I know you asked a different question, and I'm glad to sit in that for just a little bit with you. But the first thing I wanted to do is let's first solve the how can I build my business and have the team ready to go. And these issues you brought up, this is the perfect training ground.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what a missed opportunity if we didn't use this task to build the team I need in the future. So
Right.
that's my first thought on it.
Yep.
Great questions. So then we start saying, well, how do we draw these people in?
Right.
Your team may be able to come with some great ideas around it. But what I love about contractors, you already hinted at it and already said it. But the first piece is contractors all know the good ones and the bad ones to work with, and they
Right.
know personally who those
Yeah.
good ones
Yeah.
are. They've been working with them all along. They're all on the same jobs, or they are their subs, or they're the ones they turn to,
Yep.
right? They've been engaged with each other all along. I wonder what would incentivize them to have us be on the tip of their tongue
Right.
as we move forward in not just a referral base, but in their home builder associations that they're a part of. In their, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
who is it that's being put in front of them to say, yeah, because they all have speakers come in and you've got some good stuff you can bring.
Yeah.
How to think about the world different. In fact, aren't there like 5 points or something you guys really dive into and you solve certain problems? What are those five?
Yeah. So again, we are problem solvers. So instead of listing services, hey, here's problems we solve. And so those problems are lack of financials. So
Mm-hmm.
either a business doesn't have accounting or they don't have correct accounting. Poor cash flow, both as a business and to ownership. No roadmap. So what are the goals for the next few quarters, or why are we doing what we're doing? Financially caused stress, right? So this could be both business and personally. So there's this financially caused stress that's preventing other things from getting done. And then inefficient accounting, right? So it's taking 4 times as long to do something than it really should. How do we fix that? So those are the five kind of key problems that we solve for businesses and business owners.
And across those topics, those all need to be solved for every gathering of business owners at every, just I mentioned like Home Builders Association, sure, that one, but uh, every conference that's going on that's out there, right? You've got lunch and learns that are happening that banks and real estate groups they all want to host lunch and learns because they need to stay relevant somehow, and they need content experts to come in. You're the content expert, right? There's just so many places people are going to learn, and
Yeah.
they should know that Hurley Fox, well, Hurley and Partners
Mm-hmm.
is one of those solutions, a key place. When you want the right ideas and the right insights, you should know Hurley. And presenting in front of those groups would be a powerful way. I'd imagine you would leave most of those events with 2 or 3 leads instantly, probably a sale every time you do it,
Yeah.
because they don't want to search online for their solutions. They want to have a bite to eat, rub
Right.
shoulders with a few friends, hear something worthwhile, and get out of there. You've got the attention sometimes right then and there. Anyway, some thoughts popping through my head but your team will come up with better thoughts. They'll come
Yep.
up with better ideas. Where are these people gathered, right? They'll come up with it and put a plan together. And when they do that, that means your team slowly, maybe they do okay the first time or even not okay. And you've got to help them with certain questions. They'll get better and better. And pretty soon you'll have a team that can solve these kinds of problems for you while you're doing whatever other business growing activity you want to
Right.
do or
Right.
investment in other ways, because
Mm-hmm.
the team will grow it for you. This is the inflection point at around 10. I need to
Mm-hmm.
get my people lifting with me and starting to build them to lead in the future.
Yeah.
So
Great advice. I appreciate that.
we love what you're doing. You are going to have an amazing impact on businesses, and just that you're in the trenches like the rest of us, it makes a difference for us. How would people
Yeah.
get in touch with you, Hurley?
Best way to get in touch with us is visiting our website, www.foxandpartners.com, FOXAND partners.com, or you can email me directly, Hurley at foxandpartners.com.
Well, great. Again, I just want to thank you, right? Thank you for being on this. This wraps up today's episode of the 7 Figure Journey podcast. where we explore the ins and outs of the seven-figure journey. Hurley, thank you for being a guest on the show today. We loved having you on the show. And for all of you listening in, I hope that you'll share, like, do all the things to make this episode more available to all the other seven-figure business owners out there. Keep striving, keep learning, keep caring, and keep pushing towards your goals. Until next time.